speaker and let me make sure he's on Teams.
All right, while you're doing that, to the victim's family, there's something that I like to point out in these circumstances because it's often not understood. Sure. Is the sentence pronounced today does not reflect the value of your loved ones, the value of human life. It can't do that. And I want to emphasize that the sentence today does not reflect your love for them or their value as human beings. It's society's only way to punish people who have done wrong. But it obviously cannot restore their lives. The only thing this court can do, and society in general, is to take away his freedom. But that's it. And I just want to point that out because oftentimes people think that the sentence that is handed down is a reflection of either the crime or the person who is now deceased, and that's just not true. And I just want to point that out to you so that you understand that. All right, Madam Prosecutor.
Thank you. The next statement will be from Ron Miller.
All right, this is Ron Miller. I'm the father of Ana Marie. My wife and I received a phone call from one of Ana Marie's friends in San Diego back in the day of the murder. And nobody knew what happened. They just knew that they just noticed that they couldn't get in to see Ana Marie. The apartment was surrounded by police. Well, I called the San Diego Police Department from the Philippines here where we live. But I was informed that even though I'm the father and the mother were right here with me, that they could not give us any information over the phone. They couldn't tell us anything. And I gave them the name of our daughter in New Mexico so they could call her. And my God, I already knew what happened. I already knew that she had been murdered. And we just waited for the final word from our daughter when they got the word from the police department that she was murdered. I'm kind of off script here a little bit. Please understand, this is extremely hard. We had Ana Marie's body returned here to the Philippines, where we could lay her to rest here, and where we go and visit her once a week. We go to the cemetery and visit with her. We haven't got over this. Imagine if you get her, maybe you can't, but how I feel about losing my youngest child to the man that promised to love and take care of her and her granddaughter. And he ends up murdering her. My wife and I, we tried to understand why, or what could we have done to have changed the outcome of this. Watching the trial, hearing the verdict of guilty of first-degree murder does bring some closure. But I would love to see a sentence of life in prison without parole. This is what this guy needs. I don't consider him a man. A man would not do this. But I hope he gets life in prison without parole. I want him to rot in prison for what he done to my daughter. She was a beautiful, loving woman. She done everything for everybody else, always putting herself flat. I ask you to please take into account all the consequences of the suffering that we as the victims and the family of the victims have gone through and continue to go through because the choice was made by this person. I believe right now that the defendant is a danger to the defendant. He knew what he was doing from the first moment that he started abusing Anna Marie. And I ask you, please, not forget those victims are here, because he is not. He deserves to be punished after terrifying and abusing Anna Marie and his daughter, who witnessed so much of the abuse, and for making us live in just deep pain for the rest of our life. He doesn't deserve mercy. That he has no mercy for my daughter, Anna Marie. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor, for listening to all the impact statements. I would ask the court to sentence the defendant consecutively on this case for counts 1 and 2. I did, in my brief, cite a case, People versus Garnica, that stands for the fact that the court can impose consecutive life without parole sentences for each murder. Since there are 2 murders here, there's no murder more deserving than another for the LWOP sentence or a state sentence, and so I would ask the court to sentence the defendant consecutively. Count 1, LWOP, life without parole, plus 25 years to life for the enhancement, and a consecutive LWOP sentence on count 2 with another consecutive 25 to life sentence for the enhancement. I laid all of the aggravating factors in this case out in my brief. I would ask the court not to strike any of the enhancements. The aggravating factors here far outweigh any mitigating in the fact that this crime involved great violence, it involved death, it involved the use of a firearm, it involved 2 vulnerable victims who were unarmed. The defendant took advantage of a position of trust, using a key card to enter an apartment he no longer was living in. These were planned crimes, planned executions, not heat of passion crimes. And the defendant has shown that he has exhibited violent conduct, proving he's a danger to society. So for all of the aggravating factors here, I would ask the court not only not to strike any enhancements, but to give the defendant a sentence of consecutive LWOP terms. I would also ask for restitution. There is a victim compensation board claim for $12,890. That is for the funeral expenses for both Anna and Ray. There are also 2 other requests. Amalia Miller and Ron Miller live in the Philippines. They had to get a visa to fly out here. That was quite a lengthy process. They wanted to be out here for the trial. They did fly out here. The trial ended up being continued after they were here. That flight cost was $3,324.24. The other request for restitution is to Hermé Sartin, Hermaesartin. She had to fly out here 3 times, once for the funeral, once to take care and close up Anna's apartment and take the items from the apartment, and then flew here for sentencing to represent the family and make an impact statement. That amount requested is $1,214.66. Under Penal Code 1202.4, families of victims are entitled to economic losses. That includes economic losses for trial. I can give the court a citation to People versus Chrysler.
Well, I'll tell you what, today is really not the day to talk about this, I don't think. Counsel, will your client waive his right to be present at any restitution hearing, and we can sort this out at a later date?
Your Honor, I had an opportunity to speak with Mr. Abulaban prior to beginning the sentencing, and he is prepared to stipulate to the restitution being sought by the prosecution.
Okay.
Thank you. So the people would ask those amounts be ordered, also for the court to reserve restitution for any remaining amounts or counseling that is sought in the future. I would ask the court, as the victims that have asked, sentence. That is the only sentence that will properly punish this defendant, prevent his future crimes, deter others, and protect the community. After judgment in this case, I have informed all parties that people are filing a Penal Code Section 1203.01 statement. That's a packet that gets sent to CDCR with the defendant. Thank you.
You're up.
Your Honor, we just want to start off by saying that Mr. Abulaban and his defense defense team and everyone involved in representing him does have great sympathy and empathy for the victims of this case and their loss. Hearing their words is unimaginable, the pain and suffering that they're experiencing. But I think the court's comments reflect very sadly what is the reality, in that what they are actually seeking and what they really want, very sadly, they will never have, which is their family members returned to them. And what we have to do here is decide what is a fair